So about a week ago I made a video explaining how you can start improvising chord progressions, and that was all in a major key. So in today's video I wanted to do the same thing but in a minor key, okay? So learning how to play some minor or sad sounding chord progressions, and you can write some songs using this. So I'm going to be using the exact same process as I did for the major key lesson. And if you have trouble understanding what I'm doing, because I'm gonna rush over it a bit more, I really suggest you go and watch my other video talking about the chords in a major key before you watch this one, and I'll put the link in the description. It will probably just make a lot more sense if you do so. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and map out where all these chords are on a blank fretboard diagram, and again we're going to be using major and minor bar chords for now, but let's get into it. So if we look at this top fretboard, we can see we have a red 1 written on the 5th fret of the E string. Now this moves relative to whatever key you want to be playing in. So just for this example, I have it on the 5th fret of the E string. So we're going to be building all these chords in the key of A minor. But if I wanted to play in the key of B minor, again, I would just start that 1 on the B note, which would be the 7th fret of the E string. But for now, right, 5th fret of the A string. Okay, so that's our first chord. So we built it from that note on the E string and play a minor E-shaped bar chord, E minor shaped bar chord. Right, now the next chord in the minor key we're going to worry about is the 4 chord. Well, not that one. Here we go. Why is that cut off like that? There we go. All right, the 4 chord. So if our 1 chord is on this 5th fret of the E string, we're going to go to the 5th fret of the A string, and this will be the root note for our 4 chord, same as in the major key actually, but we're going to play a minor bar chord on the A string, so that A minor shape. Right, so far we have a 1 and a 4. Right, these chords are going to fit together in the minor key. Now, the next chord we'll add in is, if I can drag this over successfully, here we go. All right, the 5 chord. So just like in the major key, how the 1, 4, and 5 are major, in the minor key, the 1, 4, and 5 are minor, and the root notes are the same, right? So we have, if I just play the root notes, we have the 5th fret on the E string, 5th fret on the A string, and then 7th fret on the A string, right? So if I put the chord, so I play a minor bar chord for the E string on that 1, then I go to our 4, play a minor bar chord, then over to our 5, which is the 7th fret on the A string, and then back to our 1. So that's a 1, 4, 5, 1. Right? Okay, now let's add in a few more chords. So the next chord we're going to add in, so I'm going to change this color. Here we go. The next chord we're going to add in is our flat 3 chord. Okay, and that's going to be built over here. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why it's called a flat 3 chord. This is one of the problems if you don't learn the theory behind this stuff and just get to the practical. This won't quite make sense. Just know for now that that is what it's called, and it's because of the scale tone that it's built from. But we're going to, so if our 1's here on the 5th fret of the A string, we're going to go to the 5th fret of the E string. We're going to go over to the 8th fret of the E string and going to play a major chord. Okay, all the black numbers are going to be major chords. Okay, so we have 1, flat 3, 1, built from the 5th fret of the E, then to the 8th fret of the E, and a major chord. That will be our flat 3 chord. Cool. Next chord we're going to build, we're going to play over here for now, a flat 6 chord. And again, this will be a major. Okay, so if our 1's here, our flat, so if our 1's on that 5th fret of the E, we're going to go to the 8th fret of the A and play a major chord. All right, 1, 6, or flat 6. So far we have a 1, we have flat 3, we have 4, minor, 5, minor, flat 6, major. Minor on the 1, major on the flat 3, minor on the 4, minor on the 5, and then major on the flat 6. Cool? Okay, next chord. So the next chord is the flat 7 chord, which is going to go up here for now. So, all together we have 1, and then if our 1 is on the 5th fret, we're going to go all the way to the 10th fret on the A and play a flat 7 chord. right? So the root note is the 10th fret of the A, and it's a major chord because it's written in black, right? And then back to our 1. So far, these are the chords we're going to work with. So we got 1 minor, flat 3 on the 8th fret, major, our 4 chord on the 5th fret of the A, minor, 7th fret of the A is going to be so our 5 chord is going to be minor, then our flat 6 chord, just one across from that, will be major, and then our flat 7 chord will be major. All right, back to 1. Cool? Okay, now just like always, I'm going to show you a few other places you can play these same chords. So the first one is the flat 7, okay? You can play that flat 7 2 frets behind the 1. Again, I explained this in the other lesson, but they're both going to be the same note. Okay, so if my 1's here, my flat 7 on this 10th fret of the A is a G note. Okay, there's also a G note on this 3rd fret, or 2 frets behind my 1 chord. So I play that as a major bar chord. So I can either go 1, flat 7, all the way up here, or I can go 1, flat 7, back there, back to 1. Okay, that'd probably be a more common voice leading or chord movement you would do, right? So 1, flat 7. Let's do this with another one. So the flat 3, again, another place we could play this is here. Okay, so we can go either 1 and then to the 8th fret on the E, okay, and play it there, or we can go 1 or the 3rd fret on the A and build a major chord from there, right? 1, flat 3, or 1, flat 3, right? Same thing. Cool? All right, the next one, flat 6, we're going to map that out back here. That's going to work too. So we have 1, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Right? Very common movement, right? What else? Anyway, you get the idea. Those are some fun chords to play with. So we have a whole bunch of chords mapped out now in the minor key. Remembering the red chords are minor bar chords and the blacks are major. Okay, so I'm just going to mess around a bit. Okay, so you get an idea of how they sound, and I'll call out the chord names as I play them. So 1, 4, flat 6, flat 3, flat 7, flat 3, 4, 5, 1. Right, you get the idea, all those chords fit together. I played them in kind of a weird order, to be honest, but you get the idea. So those are our basic, those are the basic 6 chords we're going to be working with, but I'm actually going to add in a few bonus chords. Okay, because as I said before, minor harmony is quite complicated, and oftentimes we borrow chords from other scales. Okay, and they sound really cool, but I'm going to show you a couple of them. Okay, so the first borrowed chord I'm going to add in is a 2 minor chord. Now this is technically borrowed from what's called a Dorian scale, but oftentimes you'll hear it in minor chord progressions. So if my 1 chord's a minor, I can go over here to the 7th fret of the E, right, and play that as a minor, that 2 chord, right, then flat 3, 4, right, it's going to work. So you can go 1, flat 2, 2 minor, 1, 2 minor. Cool? All right, another cool one you can add, and I'll copy and paste this. Okay, we're going to go over here. And this is going to be called a flat 2 chord. And we're going to play this as a major. So if I go 1 minor, right, then go across 1 fret and play flat 2 major, right? This is borrowed from the Phrygian scale, and it has that kind of Spanishy sound, right? 1, flat 2, flat 7, 1. Cool, so that's a chord you can add in when you're playing in a minor key. The one other one I'll add in, actually this will be an interesting one. So what you can do, just ignore my real-time editing. I'll try to do it like this. This 5 chord, oh my, okay, here we go. This is a joke. Here we go. All right, this 5 chord not our 55 chord as it looks. I just didn't quite know how to make it clear. You can play that as a major chord as well. Now this is borrowed from a harmonic minor scale, but oftentimes you'll hear in minor keys the 5 chord, even though it's technically meant to be a minor chord, you can play it as a major, and it has a stronger resolution if you go from the 5 chord back to the 1 chord, which is a common cadence. So if I go 1, then 4 minor, then I go 5 major, 1. All right, so listen to the difference. First I'll go 1 4 minor, 5 minor, 1, and then I'll go 1 4 minor, but then 5 major, 1, and it has a stronger resolution. So 1 4 minor, 5 minor, 1. Okay, now 1 4 minor, 5 major. Right, perks up the ear a bit because there's new notes introduced. But those are the most common, or some of the most common borrowed chords in the minor key. So, experiment with that a bit. And yeah, you really got to use your ear to kind of judge these things, because if you're not going to get into all the theory of it, you've got to rely on your ear a bit for this stuff, which is not bad. But also I do recommend getting into the theory of it, and I will make lessons about that. It really helps. So that's your chord map if your 1 chord is built on the E string. Now just remember, if you want to play in a key other than A minor, all you have to do is shift everything relative, okay? So if I'm in A minor, my 1 4 5 is like this. If I wanted to play a 1 4 5 in C minor, okay, I just find the C note on the E string, right? Build my 1 chord there now. Now my 4 chord will be here, 5 1. In the key of G minor, right? G note here, 1 4 5 1. Right, all the chords move relative to that. All right, now hopefully you're still with me. So the next step, and I'll do this quickly, is just like in the other video, we're going to map out the same chords, but we're going to do it as if your root note or your key center is built from a root note on the A string. Okay, and again, you would want to do this if you're playing in a key like, D. You might not want to build your 1 chord all the way up on this D note on the E string. Okay, you would probably want to build it from a D note on the A string, right? It's going to give you more room to shuffle either way, and probably will just sound fuller. So, okay, now on this second diagram, I have the 1 chord on the 7th fret. Now let's just copy some of these chords over. So first we're going to go 4. We're going to bring that over here. So your 4 chord, okay, if your 1 chord's the 7th fret on the A string, your 4 chord will be the 5th fret on the E string. Okay, now your 5 chord would be right above. Okay, so a 1 4 5 in E minor if I'm starting on the E string. Okay, 1 4 5 1 1, then 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the 5th fret on the E string, 7th fret on the E string, and then back to our 1 chord, 7th fret on the A string, right? Now let's bring first of all our flat 3. So a flat 3 I would tend to play, I'll put it here for now, but I'll also double it up. Okay, back here. That's going to work too. Again, they're the same note. You just got to use a different bar chord shape and it'll work out. Still same tonality, different bar chord shape. Let's go flat 6. So flat 6, you could play here, or you could play it over here. That's going to work. 2, we'll put this 2 chord from Dorian, borrowed chord, as well as that Phrygian Spanish sounding chord. We'll put that there. Flat 7. Let's put this over here. That's going to work. And this will be pretty good. And again, I'll bring this major 5 chord over here. You can play that 5 chord obviously still as a major if you please. So there's your chord map for minor keys. Again, I'll just go through them on the E string. On the A string. So right, 1 chord minor, then flat 2 chord, right? 2 chord minor, flat 3 chord major, right? Back to my 1. I could go flat 3 over here, then flat 6, up here on the 3rd fret of the A string, flat 7 on the 5th fret of the A string, then 1 on the 7th fret of the A string. Cool. Alright, hopefully this is all clear to you. And as always, I'll put a link to the Google Drive, I'll put a link to the PDF via Google Drive, and you can download it if you like. And let me know if you have any questions, because this stuff is tricky, but hopefully you got something out of it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.